Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Deck Doctor. This is Boltor here, and today I bring you an interesting deck, especially considering the changes to the primary card in the deck that happened recently. This deck comes to us from Donbo on the Spellweaver forums, and it's intended to be an OTM, a one-turn mill deck. Now, it's a very interesting kind of setup. This deck was inspired heavily by the one-turn heal deck we saw out of Raijin from the Spellweaver tournament, in the sense that the win condition of that one was to hit 40 life in a single turn. This one's to kind of mill your opponent out in a single turn, using the new Dreadful Nightmares, which was originally Maddening Thoughts. So basically you play the Maddening Whispers, you play the Dreadful Nightmare, you play the Flash of Delirium, you reflect it with reflectors, and until then you just kind of stall with Library Guard, Flash Freeze, Disquisitive Spirit, Mesmerizing Spirit, Infernal Vultures, and other kind of, some kind of just control-esque cards. Now, this is a deck that I was asked to take a look at and kind of give my opinions on. It does qualify as a budget deck because it can be, it does qualify as a budget deck because it's really light on rares. It's only got 2 Path of Transcendence. It does play 4 Thalamic Reflector, but the only other one it plays is 2 Sanctum of the Void. So in total, that's 8 rares, which in my opinion does kind of qualify as budget. Maybe it's on the higher end of budget, but it's still budget. So we're going to just go ahead and jump in. Now, one of the things he did say was he wasn't sure what hero to use. And after a little bit of, thinking, I really think basic Darius is the hero to go with, primarily because of how good his ability is. Digging through your deck to get more of what you need is pretty important. Now, he says Infernal Vultures are there to, you blink them with Path of Transcendence, and by blink, I mean they leave the field, they come back, you get their enter the battlefield ability again. But also, the thing to keep in mind about Infernal Vultures is that they're there to prevent you from decking yourself out, because using their ability, you can send cards back into your deck, which you kind of need to do considering the fact that you're playing Flash of Delirium, which also got changed since the last time I played a mill deck. Instead of both heroes decaying 7 cards, it's now each hero decays 5 cards, and the player who plays it draws a card. So in all essence, you're really milling or going through 6 cards in your deck whenever you play it, and your opponent's only going through 5. So that changes up the equation a little bit and makes Infernal Vultures that much more important. Now, one of the cards that I think would be absolutely essential for this deck, especially since it is Splashing Order, which I'm a little hesitant about just because he's only splashing it for the Path of Transcendence, would be some Angelic Songs. Now, I was perfectly ready to write this card off as, yeah, it's good, but, just not really all that viable, right up until Raijin made it to what I believe the semifinals in the Spellweaver tournament with his Angelic Song one-turn heal deck. Now I'm thinking a little bit more about this card. It has the exact same mana cost as Pacify, and it can do much more than Pacify, especially against a deck like Rage Rush, or a deck that doesn't play Nature or Wisdom that can't remove this. It can really buy you that extra turn to win to really win the game. So he's playing 26 shrines right now, which I think is a little much. I think we could cut down 1 of each and cut it down to 23 shrines. And in that place, I would like to see, let's get 3 Angelic Song. Other than that, I would prefer to see some Pacify in this deck, but that's only because, to me, Pacify is such a good removal. I'm gonna cut 2 Flash Freeze, and I'm gonna put in 2 Pacify. I'm not entirely sold on Path of Transcendence. I mean, I like the idea of abusing the Infernal Vultures and Mesmerizing Spirit and the Library Guards, but I'm just not 100% sold on the card right yet. I'm gonna keep it in the deck just because it's kind of like one of the primary goals of the deck. You know what I mean? To take it out would change up what the deck is intending to do. But at least as of right now, I can't think of much else that can be changed to this deck. I mean, primarily, the only changes that could be made to this deck after, as opposed to this, would be things like, oh, well, I'm having trouble against control decks. Let me add some Ancient Wisdoms, you know, or some Sleeps to take care of, like, Red Dragons or Karthos or something. Or if you're facing down big creatures, Ray of Righteousness, oh, I'm facing a lot of aggro, let me put in Noxious Fumes or, you know, Plague Vermin. I feel like this list right now is kind of the best list to take care of just about everything you'd face. It doesn't do anything it doesn't have any exceptionally good matchups, but it has a decent matchup against practically anything. So because of that, I think this list is pretty well doctored as much as I can get it. Like I said, if you're having trouble against Rage, Rush, put in some Plague Vermins, put in some Noxious Fumes, put in some really anti rush creatures. I mean, the deck does play Fort Exquisitive Spirit, and it does play some Mesmerizing Spirits to help block and take care of. If you're facing down a lot of artifact or spell heavy decks like lamp decks, you know, whatever's not working for you, put in Gnome Power Engineer. And just stuff like that. This list can be tweaked a little bit if you take out like the Dreadful Nightmares and you take out the Flash of Delirium and you put in stuff like Disarm and Word of Grace. Then all of a sudden you're playing a life gain OTK deck than a mill OTK deck. The skeleton is pretty solid. Whatever it is you kind of want to do for your win condition is entirely up to you. I do have I do want to go ahead and say I am getting deck lists from the people from the Spellweaver tournament, the kind of the finalists, the top like 4 or 6 or so. I have 3 of the lists already, 2 of which a lot of people I know have requested. Later this week, I will do spotlight videos for those decks. The Fuzz sent me his Dominion Wisdom aggressive deck that he played. Rajan has sent me his OT heal deck. And what was the other one that I got? Oh yeah, the Vortex sent me his Nature Corruption mid-range deck, which I'm very, very excited about playing. So we'll see more videos. You'll see more tournament deck videos in the future. But as of right now, guys, I think this deck has been doctored. Oh, one more thing. If you're facing down against a lot of control decks, you can put stuff like Splitting Headache in. And also, one thing that I wanted to mention before we go, you can point a Dreadful Nightmares at yourself because of its new ability. Then put one of them on top and then another one at the bottom of the hero's deck. One of the most powerful mechanics in Magic the Gathering is called Scry. Scry is an ability where you look at the top. Well, it has Scry 1 or Scry 3. Depending on what number Scry you have, you can look at the top that many cards of your deck and decide which ones you want on top and which ones you want on bottom. You can kind of stack your deck, which is an extremely powerful ability. They had them on lands in that game, which is basically shrines, which means that whenever you played or put them into play, you got to scry, which, I mean, imagine if you got to look at the top part of your deck every time you played one of the shrines in this game. Just imagine, and you got to decide whether or not the card went to the top or the bottom of the deck. Just imagine how powerful that would be. Anyway, Dreadful Nightmares, you can point it at yourself, and you can pretty much scry yourself, which is an extremely good use of the card. Not to mention, with Dreadful Nightmares, you can play it, then reflect it back, so you can play it on yourself, go, oh, that's a good card, let me put that on top. Now I'm going to reflect it back at my opponent and make them mill. Oh, excuse me. That came out of nowhere. I pointed it away from the microphone as best I could. I apologize, guys. But unfortunately, I don't have time to re-record this entire video. So, at any rate, guys, just bear in mind the Dreadful Nightmares and Flash of Delirium. If you're used to playing mill decks, you know, if you've played mill decks in the past, like, and you played them in closed beta, like I did, boy, those were fun. Just bear in mind that Dreadful Nightmares and Flash of Delirium have changed, and so has the kind of the equation for how to play them, or how to play male decks in general. At any rate, this deck has officially been doctored, and you'll probably be seeing gameplay with it in the future. I'm not 100% sure when that'll be, because I'm kind of eager to jump on these tournament videos, or these tournament decks. I don't know how much recording time I'll have for the rest of this week, but here's hoping that I'm going to have plenty of time to record all the videos that I want, because I'm super excited to play some of these decks. And if you have a deck that you want doctored, or you want my input on, please do not hesitate to send me. I respond to every message that I get on the Spellweaver forums. I haven't gotten any messages on my Facebook page, but if I did, then I would gladly respond to them. Guys, this channel is built for you. This channel is made for the Spellweaver community. I keep it going free of any sort of payment from anyone, basically because I only want to do it for the Spellweaver community, and I want you guys to have a source of information and a source of fun deck lists and a little bit of entertainment. You know, I'm here for you guys, so I love to help any way I can. Anyone who asks me for help, I gladly respond, and I gladly help. So, if you like this video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, everything you do to help my channel, help support Spellweaver in general. And as always, guys, may the cards rise to meet you, and bring good RNG to your enemies' enemies.